Okay, so I did decide to skip the whole snowfield scene because that's mostly a Hugh thing, and I want to save some stuff for his route when it comes up next. But anyway, our girl had a good cry, and she's come to terms with some of her feelings and things, so we're gonna pick up again. I look up at the sky again. The snowfall had lightened. At this rate, there wouldn't be too thick of a layer. I wouldn't be able to get buried by this. All the unnecessary things in my heart seemed to have flowed out along with my tears. I had to face whatever was left inside. And for that, I knew the first thing I had to do. I needed to see T.
Where the hell were you?
You just up and disappeared and never came back.
Puh!
Right after I returned to the church, everyone scolded me. They were in the right. I ran off without telling them anything, after all. How's T? I went and asked Lawrence, who was apart from the group. I was prepared for the worst.
She'll live, for now.
Those words brought me relief and worry at the same time. Live. T is alive, but... Lawrence seemed to make a silent signal for me to follow him, so I did. The church wasn't very big. We arrived at the destination in no time. This was the open room that Levi and I weren't using. T was asleep here. T! I ran up to her and called her name. Her eyes were open, and she wasn't asleep. Her gaze appeared hollow, looking into nothing. Lawrence, what happened to her?
She must have been shocked. She's been that way this whole time.
No. I turned back to T to hold her hand. No reaction. She was always filled with so much emotion, and that old T was nowhere in sight. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. Apologizing wouldn't allow me to be forgiven. Apologizing wouldn't bring anything back. But right now, all I could do was apologize. I've lied to you, T, all this time. I'm not a man. I'm a woman. And yet, T... There was something I could finally think about how the person being tricked would feel. Levon and Levi both laughed it off and forgave me, so I was never troubled by it. But T... The tears that I thought had dried dripped onto T's hand. T? T's hand twitched. It was so slight, but I knew for sure it did. Lawrence! She just...
Yes, I know. But let's stop for today. She needs some rest.
Ah. That's right. T just survived a grave injury. Her mind and body were completely fatigued. I reluctantly let go of her hand and placed it back on the bed. Lawrence, I need to ask for a favor.
What's the matter?
I want to nurse T back to health. I want to see her smile like she did before.
Is that supposed to be some sort of atonement?
I don't know. I don't know, but...
All right. I'll leave her to you.
Morning arrived after what seemed to be a long night. I was by T's side the whole time. Good morning, T. Ah! T looked at me. She was responding to my words. That was all there was to it, but it made me so happy. She had recovered so much from yesterday. I noticed something as I talked to her. Are you hungry? Do you want me to bring you something? Not now? I guess so. You just woke up after all. Tell me if you feel like eating. I'll get anything you like. Tea? She was responsive to me. Her brows furrowed and she moved her neck. Her mouth also quivered. Yet she didn't speak. You can't talk? She looked down sadly. T seemed to have lost her ability to speak. Her throat shouldn't have been injured, so it might have been a mental thing. It was my fault that she lost her voice. Another fact weighed heavily on me. But now was not the time for me to feel down. I was in no position to be depressed about this. It was my fault this happened, so it was on me to fix it. The people residing at the church all came to visit T, one after the other. Lawrence came to force her to eat so she could recover faster. Elric came with Rabbit to kill some time, according to him. Rabbit hopped on top of T's head without hesitation. Although she looked slightly troubled, it seemed that she was smiling. The biggest response was when Levi visited.
Hey! Can you wake up now? Don't look at me like that. I'm one of the guys that helped bandage you up. It feels weird when you're so quiet. I hope you get well soon.
Oh, hold on! I ran after Levi and exited the room with him.
Sir? What's up?
Well, T knew about you, right? She didn't look happy to see you.
Right. Even though she's injured, she's still kind of annoying that way.
She didn't react when she saw me, but she did with you.
She might have forgotten about you.
Lawrence? Lawrence was on his way over and he jumped into the conversation.
How could she forget about Chad?
She can't help it. After all I've done to her.
It's not that she forgot about Judd. This is just an assumption of mine, but maybe she wants to forget about being attacked by her father. And also Judd, who was the cause of that.
How is that even possible?
The minds of people can do convenient things like that. To protect themselves, they can forget exactly what they want to. They can also rewrite their own memories.
His words were oddly convincing. T did forget about me, but I deserved it. I didn't have the right or the time to feel down about it. All I could do now was to help her make a full recovery, including her memory.
Hey, you here?
I heard Lavon's voice at the entrance.
Lavon!
I wonder what was wrong. He usually didn't come out in broad daylight. Standing there, wondering wasn't going to help either of us figure out why he'd come. Lawrence ran off to greet him, and they soon came back together.
Sorry for being so sudden.
No, we don't mind.
I got word of some information that bothered me. I can't vouch for how true it is, but I thought you might know something.
Stop beating around the bush.
I heard T was murdered by Olgar.
She wasn't murdered! I denied it strongly. It offended me to hear that. T was alive right now. Lavon didn't look surprised. He just appeared to understand.
I'm glad I came here then. Tell me more.
Meanwhile,
Why did you attack T? Silence. She went and picked flowers for you. Why can't you understand her kindness toward you? Silence. The sounds of the flames. Father! Extinguish the fireplace this instant!
Yes! Interesting. Both daughter and father are having problems with the sound of flames right now.
Have you lost all of your humanity? This is grating to my ears. Even if I must invoke the power of the state and be detested as a pawn of misgovernment, I've done everything for the people's sake. That's why Now all we do is steal wealth and murder them like the tyrants we are. I sense no humanity from you after you have murdered your very own daughter. You are nothing but a crazed beast. A beast, you say? That is correct. We are all beasts. Everyone who resides in this town is a beast. What are you saying? Everyone simply has forgotten the true form of this town. I will not allow anything to be taken from me. I will be on the side to do the talking. And this is all to grant the one wish I seek. The Kaleidovia has caused you to go mad. There is no turning back. All who interfere must be killed. My daughter and you are no exception, Lugus.
And that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
I see. So it was true.
Yes. T was attacked by Ulgar. I mumbled that it was because of me.
That's your problem. You'll have to deal with it on your own.
Levon! That's harsh!
It's okay. Levon's absolutely right.
This will be an opportunity.
What do you mean?
Many of the people in town hate the way the Hawks are doing things.
The way they were doing things. They captured people in the town at will and then forced them to admit to crimes by torture. At times, they took lives as well.
I'm sure it's on Ulgar's orders, and their actions continue to escalate.
So what? I already heard about that the last time.
I'm saying now is the time to act.
The air went tense. This plan had been in the works since Francisca was murdered, and now
It's finally time.
we will kill Ulgar.
If we can take care of things quietly, all the better. But at the very least, we're dragging him off of his throne as the Lord. The town will remain in darkness otherwise.
If Ulgar handed over the magical stone in peace, we might be able to leave it at that. But perhaps it was already too late. Even if he had turned insane, Ulgar had already attacked too many people. The townspeople, Francisca, even T.
And it seems that Lugus has left their manor.
He did?
Seems like he's given up on his own father.
It must be because of T. Levon continued without answering.
We have people who have located him. Jed, you want to try talking to him?
Me? Talk to Lugus? I did want to talk with him, but at the same time I'm too embarrassed. I wondered how Lugus felt at that moment. The father he respected so much tried to kill his sister. But I was the one who instigated it.
Whether or not Lugus joins in, we're putting the plan into motion. But if you are serious about defeating Ulgar, then I will welcome you to join.
To defeat Ulgar. That was my goal to begin with, to avenge Francisca. But right now, can you give me a little time?
I can't give you much. We can only wait a few days at most.
I don't mind.
All right. I'll let Lugus know. So he'll come here.
All right. Time to chitty-chat. For the next few days, I stayed by T's side. From morning to night, I checked on her even when she was asleep in the hopes of her getting better soon. When she was in pain, I treated her. Other times, I continued to talk to her. I might have been a nuisance to her. I knew what I did couldn't be forgiven with this, but this was what I wanted to do. I thought that maybe this would allow T to regain her lost voice. Lugus might come to visit. It might be tomorrow or the day after. Maybe even today. I would be lying if I said it didn't worry me. But right now, I was afraid of seeing him. but I was able to forget that at least when I was nursing T back to health. My focus was now bringing back the brightness she used to have. I hope, sincerely, that doing Lugus's route, T gets better and she's actually acknowledged in the ending, because so far, this has not been resolved in any of the routes we've done. So I'm really hoping we get to help T in this route. I wanted to save T, but instead I was the one being saved. Realization of this brought bitterness to my heart. It made me realize just how many people saved me.
Working hard, aren't you?
Puh! On that day, Elric and Rabbit were there together. Did you come to help?
You don't need any. You just go and do everything yourself. Come on, let's go.
Puh!
Whatever. Anyway, I'm going now.
I didn't know what they talked about between themselves, but Elric left Rabbit behind. Huh? Wait, why is Rabbit...
Rabbit wants to play with her today. I'll get going now.
Was there that much of a message in that little cry? You'd be surprised. Puh! Puh! Elric said that there was nothing he could do to help, but I disagreed. T showed more emotion when she was with someone other than me. She frowned when Levi came, and when Rabbit was here, she smiled just as she did now. That was something I couldn't do. It's just two little sisters bonding. When was the last time I properly spoke with T? Right, it was during the masquerade. After that, the incident with Francisca happened. We weren't in any position to be able to talk to anyone in the Hawk clan. Do you remember what we talked about, T? No answer, so I tried to search through my memory. I see. I helped out quite a lot with the preparations for the masquerade this year. I spoke with many wolves during the preparations. There were kind ones and also some funny ones. I was thinking that it wouldn't be bad if we could continue being nice to each other. So different now. Hearing her words is reminding me that I should hate my very self. T was changing for the good. What she was saying now would have made me so happy back then, and yet I betrayed T's trust. Huh? I remembered things and got depressed. Two sets of eyes looked at me worriedly. Oh no, I shouldn't be like this in front of T. I wondered if she still desires what she said before. T, do you still want to get along with the wolves? No answer, but she didn't appear to reject it. If that's the case, I want to help. After all, that is something I desire too. I'll do anything for that. Anything. So that the hawks and the wolves... So that T and I could smile again. And for that, we have to end this conflict. I could tell that my mind was slowly but surely coming to that resolve. But we have to defeat T's father for that. Is that really the right thing to do? That night, I checked to see that T had completely fallen asleep before heading back to my own room. In that moment, I heard a slight sound. Was there someone in the chapel at this hour? It could have been my imagination, but I also thought of a single possibility. He could be here. I should go. It is time. The chapel was deathly quiet. The faint glow from the stained glass window painted a pattern on the floor. A scene that appeared so transient that it would vanish the moment I touched it. In the middle of it stood Lugus. This is another gorgeous CG. The lighting in it is just, oh, so good. Lugus. Was he really there? Was it really Lugus who was standing there? Something made me doubt that it was him. His dauntless strength was nowhere to be seen. His saddened eyes were like those of a fearful boy.
I was told by Levon to come here to meet.
Yeah. That voice was Lugus's, without a doubt. I thought he would come, but I wasn't ready yet. What should I talk about? He glanced over to me and then quickly back to the stained glass window.
It's been a while since I've seen this. It all feels like it's far in the past.
That stained glass window.
It was my real father who made this.
His real father. Prior to his being adopted by Olgar.
Father was a glass craftsman. He was paid almost nothing, and he had few jobs, too. A friendly woman asked him to make this, wishing for the peace of the townspeople. A man who couldn't even protect his family bit off more than he could chew.
I listened quietly. Lugus told me his past back when we were alone at the tower, too. But something about him was different this time. His voice was soft. No. It sounded kind.
And that was why I learned from Father, Olgar. In order to protect what you love, you need power, not prayer. Political power to move people. A strong heart that doesn't yield even when you are hated. That was what I learned.
Little by little, that kindness in his voice became muffled. It was returning to the strong voice that I knew him for.
Father is wrong. He's drunk with power. He's destroying what he is meant to protect. I want to think it's all the magical stone's fault.
If that's your thoughts, then... It was then that it crossed my mind that I should tell him my desire. Yes, there is only one thing that I want from Lugus. Help me stop Olgar. Lugus didn't reply. Instead, he simply stared at me. I know I don't have the right to ask you this, but the reason that Olgar hurt T is because of me. Even so.
It was Father who did that, not you.
But...
That's not something I need you to ask me. I will protect this town in my own way. This is the town my previous and current father wanted to protect. If it is for that, I will fight alongside you.
Lugus. Lugus held out his hand. I firmly grasped it in mine. I was moved by his words. Lugus was strong. He has decided to fight his own father. I should follow his example. This was for Lugus, Levon, and Levi, too. This would also be for T's and my sake. We would take the magical stone from Olgar.
And... T is here, isn't she?
Oh, yes. But I think she's sleeping right now. I motioned for him to follow me, and I took him to her room. I quietly opened the door, but T, who I thought was sleeping, turned her head. Oh, sorry. Did I wake you up? She slowly shook her head.
T.
T looked at the other guest in her room, but she showed no emotion upon seeing him. Does she not remember Lugus? She can't speak, or a part of her memories is lost. I whispered into his ear what happened to her. Lugus didn't appear to be surprised. He looked at T up close and seemed relieved.
You saved my sister's life. I will thank you for this in kind.
I wasn't the one who saved her, and I... A slight sigh. A raspy yet cute voice that didn't belong to either Lugus or myself. T? Can you speak now? I ran to her bedside. I moved closer so that I didn't miss a single word she said. Lugus! Tease! She spoke. Her voice was back.
T.
Lugus went to her side. T tried to stand up and touched my face with her slender fingers. T? Thank you. You were so kind to me. My tears blurred my vision. I felt so happy and sorry that this was what she said first. I'm sorry. T's hand came over mine. She was warm. Thank you. I held T's hand back. It might have hurt her, but I couldn't help myself. More tears flowed. I had been doing nothing but cry recently. T's memories weren't back yet. Her wounds hadn't fully healed either. But there was light in her eyes once more. That made me so happy that the tears would not stop. Yay, progress. Now we just need more progress from this point. Please, justice for T. A few days passed by quickly. Levon and Lugus stopped coming to the church. On the other hand, Levi started coming in and out as a messenger. The effect of Lugus's rebellion was rather large. A lot of sympathizers to their cause had gathered. With the increase in numbers came greater need for preparations. I left them to it so that I could remain by T's side. Her emotions and voice came haltingly, but I could clearly see that she was getting better by the day. Her wound still hadn't healed, so she couldn't move around, but it wouldn't be long until she could walk again. The day of the mission arrived before she could get better. Tomorrow we would raid Olgar's manor.
It's time. Yeah.
I've waited too long for this.
Everyone was gathered at the church. When was the last time the four of us were gathered here? I think it was the masquerade.
Huh? What was that?
Oh, sorry. I was just thinking about when the last time was that we gathered together like this.
The masquerade. It feels so long ago now. Yeah. It does, but it isn't.
Oh,
What?
I just remembered. We met a long time ago, even before the masquerade.
Huh?
You remember? When we went exploring the forest.
When we were kids. The other boy was you, Lugus.
Was it? I couldn't remember. But in my hazy memory, I think there was another boy there. Fine. You caught me. When I looked to Lugus, he heaved a sigh as if he just gave up.
We were on opposing sides. I would have preferred that you didn't remember.
Well, Jed, you were still small, so you can't help it if you can't remember.
Still, fate can be a strange thing.
Yeah. The children who stood up to go to the witch's forest were now standing up again to protect the town. It was like a fairy tale. It felt like destiny to me.
There's something I need to tell you. What's with you all of a sudden?
Don't tell me you got afraid like when we were kids.
Levi teased Lugus, but he didn't act any differently. Even on our side, Lugus didn't change one bit. I used to think his attitude was threatening and overbearing, but now it feels so dependable.
If you or anyone else has to face Olgar, kill him without hesitation.
Those strong words echoed. Lugus told us to kill his own father.
And when you come across the same situation, what are you going to do? Isn't it obvious?
But Lugus, the magical stone is the reason Olgar is... His mind was eroded by lunacy because of it. Lugus did say that he hoped that was the only reason. He might return to normal once you take away that magical stone.
I say this knowingly. If you show any hesitation to that man, it'll prove fatal to you.
You've gotta be exaggerating. He's a pretty old dude now, isn't he?
That man is the one who taught me how to fight with the sword. And I've also never beaten him before.
Even Lugus couldn't beat him. I just fought Lugus the other day. I thought I was pretty good myself, but I didn't stand a chance.
Then again, the last time we sparred was a few years ago. I don't know if I'll still lose to him.
In that case...
I'm telling you to throw away that naivete. Olgar is a beast that would try to murder his own daughter. Do not hold on to that kind of hope, no matter what.
There was no reason to say any more. Lugus's determination was real. Although they were not related by blood, he used to respect Olgar so much. He knew Olgar was crazed only because of that magical stone. I knew he was the person among us who wanted Olgar dead the least. Olgar murdered Francisca. No, not just Francisca. All the people who gathered here all thought of Olgar as a target of vengeance for their family or other people close to them. But was it the right thing to do? To kill Olgar? What exactly did I want to do? We all were sent away for the time being to prepare for the next step. I'm sure we held a sense of uncertainty within our minds. What should I do? I wanted to talk to someone to feel better about this. That was all I could think. Who should I go and talk to? Well, there is only one option, and it's the last one we haven't done yet at this point. What you got for me, Lugus? Lugus was alone in the chapel. I watched him from behind as he looked at the stained glass window with a heavy air about him. He does that quite often. His presence didn't instill fear like before. I stood next to him and looked in the same direction in silence. Lugus's real father supposedly made the stained glass window. It still allowed a gentle light into the church. I wondered what this man thought of it. Was he thinking of Olgar? Lugus. I turned to face him. Is it really all right to kill Olgar? Please tell me what you think. Not as the heir to the Hawks, but you personally. I wanted to confirm one last time how he truly felt. Lugus also turned to me and looked at me straight in the eye.
I don't want to kill him.
They were words from his heart. Lugus was being completely honest. I trusted those words immediately.
But he must be killed. Ever since I was a child, I have been forced to make decisions. To decide what must truly be protected. To decide what must be saved. That is something I've thought all this time.
Those words were powerful and heavy. It overlapped with the thoughts in my heart.
If it's for the sake of the town, whether it's someone I'm indebted to or a criminal, they must be killed. That is the answer I've decided.
Lugus's eyes showed no hesitation. Why wouldn't he hesitate? No, that wasn't the point. This was the conclusion he came to after his own hesitations and deliberating at length. That was why he could believe in himself. He was strong. What he said just now reaffirmed that. Lugus, you're strong.
That was how I was raised.
Francisca also raised me to be strong. Closing my eyes brought back memories of the good days gone by. Would the town ever be the same as before? Do not ever close your eyes. I opened my eyes. The answer was up to me. I'll decide on my own, too. I'll think about it long and hard and come to my own conclusion.
Aw, he graced us with one of his nicest smiles.
Yeah, you do that.
He smiled. It was the first time Lugus acknowledged me.
Girl, where have you been for the rest of this route? He has acknowledged you plenty.
That was the feeling I got.
Girl.